And we are live. What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into the Daily Juice live stream. My name is Matt Perrault here off the Betting Pros YouTube channel, and welcome to Week 5 of the NFL, everybody. So for the next hour, we go over player props, we go over your bets, answer questions, have some fun, break down some games. But right at the top, let's get to some of the breaking news. Obviously, that unfortunately, the COVID-19 stuff is still going to be a big problem from a scheduling standpoint, and the Patriots game on Tuesday, or yesterday, or Monday, is not going to be played. That's going to get pushed back to next week. Patriots-Broncos will play next week. I don't know what that does for the Patriots schedule, and if you guys have information, if you guys see Schefter break some stuff or other people who are breaking scheduling stuff, please pass it along because my only access to it right now is on Twitter, and, well, I'm going to be doing this. So I'm not going to be able to tell you everything that we'll want to talk about, obviously. But it's not good. I mean, this is bad news. This is what we were worried about when it came to how we were going to do this and how the NFL was going to do it. One more positive test for the Patriots, one more positive test for the Titans. That continues to be a big problem. The Titans, again, have shut down their facility due to it. And I'm just going to go back and talk about what I mentioned a while ago. You know, if you guys were watching the live stream or listening to Daily Juice or whatever, it's just the Patriots playing that game at Kansas City was so dumb. And the NFL has not done a good job with the scheduling of this to have any type of, backup plan in place for these big problems with scheduling. And so the Patriots have decided that their building is shut down as well after one more positive test for a player. And I feel like we're going to have a problem here for the whole year. We knew we were going to have disruption, right? We all knew that. It's just it felt like the NFL was taking a victory lap after week 2. That Chris Mortensen tweet that came out that said that Roger Goodell should be in the Hall of Fame just because of his COVID-19 handling. And it's just like, what are you talking about? Like, we got so cavalier and just so comfortable thinking that we were going to get through this year without any problems, and it's just not true. My gosh. All right, so here's some breaking news. According to the NFL Network, Dwayne Haskins will not be in the building today for the Washington football team. He won't even be in the building. You want to talk about something that's completely fallen apart. So Kyle Allen will start today against the Ravens, and you've got Alex Smith as the backup. And what do you do? I mean, is this Dwayne Haskins walking out on his team, given the fact that Dwayne Haskins was reportedly not happy about the decision, was not practicing well, was bragging about his own personal accomplishments in games that the Washington football team was losing? So now he's not even in the building today, so he won't even be dressed or anywhere near the team. That situation is going downhill really, really fast. I mean, that is – he won't even be in the building. That's your first-round pick. Now, the reason why Dwayne Haskins was picked by the Washington team is because he's from the region, and Daniel Snyder wanted him to be the quarterback to build around some, obviously fandom that he's got with people in that region. It didn't happen, clearly, and now we got a big issue here with what's going to go on with that quarterback situation. Ron Rivera, when he got the job, it was pretty much we thought that, like, Rivera was going to, and the only thought is with Rivera coming in and doing this, Ron Rivera might think that at healthy, he may have a shot to win the worst division in football. He may actually think, hey, if I get better quarterback play, my defense isn't bad, get Chase Young on the field, he's supposed to play today, how does... maybe we got something here because the NFC East is the NFC least, and maybe we can be, the tallest, smallest person. Maybe we get into the playoffs. And with the expanded postseason, he might not be wrong, given how many teams are going to get into the postseason. So you wonder if that's why he has decided to say, I'm going to go with a veteran. I'm going to go with someone who can complete passes and someone who actually will work hard with us to develop our team. And so now we're going to go with Kyle Allen. So if you have Dwayne Haskins on your fantasy team, sorry, that dude is probably going to be out of a job, maybe for good. I mean, look, I didn't think he was a top 10 pick anyway, and I mean, I'm not a quarterback evaluator, but I didn't love his body of work, if you will. And now we're realizing and learning that he's not exactly a team player. He's not coming into work, and when you look at what has happened with some of the younger quarterbacks getting opportunities, I mean, Joe Burrow, case number one here with what's happened. And now coming up, on Monday night, you'll see the first real primetime start for Justin Herbert. I mean, these teams want their quarterbacks to play quickly, and they want them to be good quickly. And Haskins has not been good. And now a new head coach comes in, and now it appears that Dwayne Haskins' time in Washington could be over. Don't know what you get for him, but this feels a lot like other teams who have had issues. The Dolphins with quarterbacks that they've drafted and guys who just haven't been given the right opportunity or weren't put in the right position to be successful with a top pick. But that is tough. All right. Dwayne Haskins is going to be a free agent in a few months. Yeah, probably. I would say maybe as early as today. If he's not going to show up to the building, you might see him get cut. So, my goodness. I don't hate it, by the way, but, yikes. If you're a Washington football fan, that was supposed to be your future, and now your future is gone. So, Haskins not even in the building today for Washington as they take on the Ravens. Okay, so you'll see in that side, on the bottom right-hand corner, you will see my Daily Juice plays for today. So if you haven't seen or listened to the Daily Juice, well, first, come on now, guys, got to listen to the Daily Juice. But if you haven't listened to it yet, those are the plays, those 5 plays I gave out this morning. They're going to rotate. You'll see them on the side. And this is a tough week, okay? It was a tough week yesterday in the college ranks. We went 3-2 with our college ranks, and we got a little fortunate. Texas, Oklahoma going over was fortunate. The +9 hit for us with the teaser, in-game teaser in college football for even money. Not bad, right? That's if you say, well, you could have just bet Oklahoma -2.5 and cashed. Yeah, at -110. So we cashed even money. So I'll take that. The over was the play clearly, but that would have been -110 easy. So we got a little lucky with the 8-point margin there, having the +9 for Texas. But Tom Herman, that is a tough situation. I'm a big Tom Herman fan, but I think that he's going to have a lot of questions and a lot of angry Longhorn fans for the next couple of weeks, and they've got to get going here. And Texas has not played well. Oklahoma hasn't played well. The whole Big 12 hasn't played well, but that's not really why we're here, obviously. So, there's a lot of interesting things going on with the lines for the size of some of these bets, some of these lines. Somebody's asking already, saying, what about betting on the 3 biggest dogs of the week, and that's it? Okay, so I got to pull up here real quick. Let me pull up the numbers as to where we are with the lines here. The 3 biggest dogs currently right now. So the biggest dogs right now obviously would be Washington. So I don't know if you can really take Washington right now and go and feel good about it and we'd be like, yeah, let's take Washington. Cincy is currently 12 at most books across Vegas. So taking +12 on Cincy, I don't mind. I don't mind that. Las Vegas catching 11.5 from Kansas City, I do mind. I do think that that's scary. And then is Washington? There it is. Is that down to 7.5? Wow, or 7 now. Okay, so what's the third biggest number on the board? Would it be Miami at 8? Is that the biggest, the third biggest number on the board right now? Oh, the Giants. Thank you. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. The Giants that number has crashed. Wow, that number opened at 11. It's down to 7.5 right now for that. I bet if you look at the Daily Juice picks, we took the under here. Dallas at 54. Dallas and the Giants down to 54. That side. I bet it at 54. It's down to 52.5. So the total has been coming down fast. It opened up at 44. It was bet all the way up to 54. And then it came back down. Look, there is a problem here, and there's an issue here when it comes to offenses in the NFL and betting unders. We talked about it a bit on the podcast last night. Look, betting unders is really, really hard. Look at Alabama and Ole Miss last night. Football, the way that football now being played, college and pro basketball is all about the 3-point shot. And now football is all about big plays, and defenses don't tackle. The rules are now such that defenses really can't play defense. You hit a quarterback. Look at the hit on Justin Herbert on Trevor Lawrence last night by Miami. By the letter of the rules, a player leading with the crown of his helmet, hitting him square in the sternum, that's an illegal hit. But in old school football, and the way the game was designed, that hit is completely legal and actually clean. Not even borderline. how you're taught, okay, so you're leading with the crown of the helmet, but you're also leading with the shoulder, and you hit them in the midsection, and you drive. I mean, that's just how you hit players. That's how you're taught to hit players. Now, the crown of the helmet to a player's helmet, that needs to come out of the game. But to the sternum, and that was flagged 15 yards for a hit, for a illegal hit on Trevor Lawrence. Now, that's college versus pro, but it's kind of how the game is really now being played. We don't have defenses. So betting unders is hard. The only reason why I'm betting that under at 54 is because I don't believe the Giants can score very much. I think the Giants' offense is trash. So I think Dallas scores 30. I think the Giants score maybe 14, 17, and that's it. So I took the under 54 for that. And I also don't 100% trust Dallas to score a ton here and be really all that interested in this game, even though it's a divisional game. I mean, if the Giants are in this game, it's going to be low scoring. So that's why I took the under for Giants and the Cowboys at 54. Everything else, I couldn't go near it. I couldn't go near some of these totals, even as high. Vegas and Kansas City historically has been an underplay, but 54.5 with Patrick Mahomes, yeah, no thank you. You just can't. One interception, one turnover, one play, and you put yourself into a really awful situation. So you just can't. You just can't do it. So, Yasmin wants to know, what do I say about Dallas at -9.5? I mean, it's steep, okay? It's down to 7.5 right now at what I'm looking at here in Vegas, across the board at Vegas books and at DraftKings, which is not a Vegas book, but it's 7.5. So 9.5, money's coming in heavy on New York, driving that number down. If you like Dallas, I would say wait to see if you can get to 7. And if that number does bottom out at 7, if you like Dallas, take Dallas. I don't think I can trust the Cowboys to cover any number, given what they've done this year, given their defense, how they've played. I just don't know how you sit there and trust that. I personally don't think that that's something I would go near. And I mean, maybe it's a teaser play, tease the Dallas Cowboys down from 7.5 to 1.5 and match it up with something else that you like. And maybe that's it. I mean, one teaser I almost played, somebody's asking, do you ever touch the special teases plus 10 for any of these over-unders? I mean, again, it depends on the juice, right? And I think the juice matters when it comes to these teasers. My 2-team teasers in Vegas normally are either -130 or -140, depending on the book. Okay? Most books in Vegas, most sharp books in Vegas is -140. So Westgate, Circa, South Point. These are all, you're going to pay -140 on 2-team teasers in the NFL. I don't have a problem with that, okay? We're 4-0 with our 2-team teasers so far. Steelers and Jags is our teaser this week. And my play, I'm taking the Steelers -7. I'm also teasing it down to 1. So I've got a lot riding on that Steelers-Eagles game. So where I'm going to be watching, my attention will be on that. And I tried to find a couple of prop bets that I liked in that game. And I'll get to the props here in a second. The Carson Wentz rushing stats, rushing prop, I didn't take it. It's 14.5. And my only reason why I didn't take it is because I'm afraid that he's not going to run all that much because the team doesn't want him to run all that much. But he's going to get blitzed to holy heck today. And I don't think Carson Wentz has a very good game today. I don't think that Eagles offense plays very well today. They're so banged up on the offensive line. They're so banged up with their receivers, and their defense is hurting too. So I just think this is the day in the game that they're running into a team at home that's rested, that's been waiting, and is chomping at the bit, and maybe they'll be a little bit rusty in the first quarter, but I don't think so. I think the Steelers are going to come out flying today, and I don't like the Eagles' chances coming off of a trip to the West Coast, a win they had to have, and now they're taking on a Steelers team that's rested and ready. So that's one of my favorite plays of the day in terms of Pittsburgh. I just don't see the Eagles keeping that game relatively close, and so I've teased it. I don't think you're going to need the teaser, but I did, and I took the Steelers -7 as well coming up on that. So looking forward to that. I'm getting the 3-team plus or minus 10 teasers at -130. And someone wants to know, is 7.5 too much? I don't think 7.5 is too much, but look and see how much they're going to charge you for buying the half a point. So if you can buy it to 7 and it's like -130, I would take it. If it's -140, 50, 60, I don't like it all that much. But if it's only -130, I don't mind the juice there Steelers -7 to get away from the hook, because back doors and everything else, just it's better to get away from the 7.5. That's always the danger. When you get over 7, you realize how much money is coming in on the Steelers. For the record, the books do not like getting off of 7. So if they're getting over, if they go to 7.5, you know they have big liability on the Steelers. So keep that in mind, that they think their 7 number is right, and they've waited this long, and now they've gone to 7.5. And so that's because the number, a lot of respected money and big money is coming in on Pittsburgh, so they've gone to 7.5. So I would buy the half point if you can. If you can't, I don't hate 7.5, but you are open to the back door, to the hook that may come in and unfortunately wreak havoc, because as we all know, that happened. Ryan says the Eagles play the Steelers well. Sure. I mean, you can do that historic stuff. I don't subscribe to that. I mean, I think every game is its own game. I don't care about trends all that much. I don't care about historically when I watch this team. Normally this happens. I mean, there are, I guess, a couple of teams you can do that with, but every game is different. Every game has a different set of rules and circumstances around it. The weather is different. The who's playing and who is not. Every football game, in my mind, is its own unique animal, and betting off of what happened in the past is a recipe to lose. It just is. You can take trends, you can use it to help your research, and I'm not saying don't use against the spread trends or don't use, historically speaking, this is what happens, but you have to use that narrative and put it into the context of today. You only care about today. You don't care about last year. You don't care about next year. You care about today. Betting is a snapshot of that moment in that game. That's what you're doing. You're putting your money down to say, this today is what's going to happen. This is what I think happens in this moment for the next 3 hours. Here's where I'm betting. So you have to realize that, like, just saying the Eagles always play the Steelers tough. Okay, fine. But a blocked field goal can lead to a touchdown late. A muffed snap can lead to a safety. I mean, there's a million things that happen that can come into play when it comes to the number that have nothing to do with what happened last year. So the Eagles are coming off of a West Coast trip, and they are banged up, and Carson Wentz is a disaster. The reason why the Eagles won that game last week was not because of what happened with Carson Wentz. It's because of what happened with Nick Mullins. I bet against Nick Mullins. I didn't bet on Carson Wentz. I thought he'd play better, and he did, but he still has the yips. He still can't throw a ball 10 feet to a receiver. It's crazy. But Nick Mullins threw 2 picks, including a pick 6. See, so, and they had that sack in the end zone as well. So, I mean, this is Ben Roethlisberger. This is James Conner. I think this is a game where the Steelers are going to control both lines of scrimmage, and that's really bad news here for the Eagles. So, I said on the live stream, on the Daily Juice podcast this morning, I often look at 2 things when I'm handicapping games: the quarterbacks and the coaches, and who has the better quarterback and who has the better coaches. And I'm 2 for 2 in this game. Roethlisberger is better than Wentz, and Tomlin's better than Peterson. So I'm 2 for 2 on coaches and in this game. So to me, the Pittsburgh Steelers are the right side. Okay, they are. The other pick that I made, other pick that I made, when you look at just on sides, I haven't gone crazy today because I've gone with one teaser, Steelers, and then I've gone with the Vikings, and those are the only plays on sides I'm making. And then we got 2. We have an over and an under. The under with the Cowboys and the Giants we talked about, and then I'll get to the Panthers-Falcons here in a second. But, I mean, this is a game. This is a pros versus Joes game. This is there are a lot of arguments as to what's going to happen with the Vikings tonight. I got 7.5, but 7 is still good. Plus 7 for the Vikings, I think, is still good. And I do believe there's going to be a really interesting game in a fourth quarter game. I think the Vikings are going to be in the game. I think they may lose, but I think they're going to be in the game. And a lot of people, I've seen multiple people this morning say Seattle -7, my favorite play of the day. All right, but the Vikings have been coming around. All right, they've been in terms of who's hungrier. The Vikings need a victory, man. They need to get after it and get going. And Kirk Cousins' numbers. His numbers in primetime aren't that bad. It's the win-loss number that's really bad. And it's really bad. The win-loss number is really, really bad for Kirk Cousins. And you're at Russell Wilson, you're up against Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf and that offense and Tyler Lockett and whatnot. And Carson, I think Carson's playing today, right? It's prime time Russ. That is really, really dangerous, okay? That's really, really dangerous. But I think this is a game that they keep it close, and I think Jefferson's emergence is huge. And, so, all right. Let's get some of the prop bets, by the way. Okay, so player props, and we'll break down things. You guys can ask me questions about player props, too, as we go. Once again, a reminder, if you're going to ask me who to start, some people are already asking me who to start. This is not the podcast for that. Fantasy Pros right now. Go to the YouTube, Fantasy Pros YouTube channel right now. They are live streaming. You can ask them that question. They will give you advice as to who to play and who to start. I've not played fantasy football in 5 years. Okay? Lived in Vegas for 5 years. It's illegal to play DFS here. I've not played DFS here in 5 years. So season-long fantasy, daily fantasy, not my cup of tea. So, okay, so the whiteboard is back. The Tim Russard whiteboard is back for our player props. Here we go, and we're going to start with Darren Waller. Darren Waller over 58.5 receiving yards today. There's 2 plays in that game. You'll see. I'll get to the second. But here's the thought on Darren Waller. They're getting Henry Ruggs back today, okay? And this is a defense. If you look at the way that the Chiefs have played, they've been okay against the run. They've not been very good against the pass. Kind of a wish-washy okay D. They're going to get after Derek Carr, all right? But here's the difference with this game and other games when Darren Waller, basically for the last 2 weeks, Darren Waller has been invisible. They're going to get the ball to him today because of Ruggs coming back. They finally have somebody to stretch the defense. And so now you stretch the defense with Ruggs. There's a worry about the over-the-top throw. And here underneath comes Waller, which is what they haven't been able to do without Ruggs. So now that you've got Ruggs, that's a pretty low number, I think, for Waller, who basically is their number one receiver. He's their number one weapon. So 58.5 yards receiving for Darren Waller. I think he goes over that relatively easily. I would expect him to be in the 70s or the 80s. I think they're going to force feed him the football. I think the entire Chiefs defense is going to be geared up to stop Josh Jacobs. So I don't like Jacobs' props, rushing or receiving for that matter. But I think Waller is a guy with one-on-one coverage because of the Ruggs return. I think Waller finally comes back to form here. And I think you're getting a little bit of a buy-in, a little bit of a lower number on Waller because of the fact that he hasn't been a part of the offense for the last 2 games. And look, I don't hate, if you want to wait all the way up until kickoff to let the public come in and hammer on the Chiefs, and if the number goes to 13, 13.5, even 14, I think you take the Raiders. I mean, I really do think the Raiders are going to be in this football game, and I do think they're going to lose, but lose by probably 7 to 10 points. I don't expect them to get blown off the field today, so I don't hate a play on that. I didn't make it, but if you want to make it, I don't hate a play on the Raiders today. But over Darren Waller receiving yards at 58.5. Oh, by the way, I've increased my spend on this, if you will. I used to commit 0.25 units to the props. I'm committing half a unit now. I'm upping it because, well, we've hit a bunch. We've been doing well. So let's just ride it. Now, sometimes that's really dangerous, but as long as you're not going over 1 full unit, I don't mind it. I go half a unit on these, full unit on the daily juice plays, half a unit on the props. I mean, for right now, we did well. We hit the crazy light parlay. If you're new to the live stream, you don't know what the light parlay is, go listen to the Daily Juice, and it'll explain to you what the light parlay is, a plus 750 parlay that we hit on Friday night. So we got that money. We hit yesterday, so we're okay here for where we are. So we can be a little more aggressive than normal. So number 2, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, HCEH, over 26.5 receiving yards for him. Look, it hit last time we bet it, last week. We're going to bet it again. Why? They use him in the passing game a lot, and it's basically 2 or 3 catches. So it's all he needs is 2 or 3 catches, and he can get it in 1 catch. 1 screen play to Edwards-Helaire, and he can go. I think that's an easy one. I think over 26.5 yards receiving for Clyde Edwards-Helaire for the Chiefs. I mean, we're giving away the autographed helmet. Daily Juice guys, you know what that is. We're giving that away. So, I mean, obviously I have an interest in what he does. I think Darren Waller over 58.5 yards receiving and Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 26.5 yards receiving. I mean, I think that's just sort of what's going to happen, okay? I understand you guys. I had it at 26.5 last week, and I gave it to you guys, and he got to 27. So if you bet it at 27.5, you lost. I won. I get it. I mean, it's, these numbers matter, okay? A yard matters. Half a yard matters. So where you get it is important. But if you can shop around and find it at 26.5, I looked this morning. These numbers were like 7:30 this morning. These numbers were all current. So things change by the second. But as we go through them, these numbers were current as of this morning with numbers that I picked and played. So 2 plays with that Chiefs and the Raiders game, both on the over. All these are on the over, by the way. So that's a philosophy play. I believe personally that offenses aren't going to get stopped today. I mean, it's just, I sweated out the under last week of Ezekiel Elliott running the football, and he wound up, I don't know, like 40 or 50 yards, and 86.5, I think was the number we played with the under, and it was brutal. Betting unders in anything right now it's just brutal. So I'm not going to put myself through that torture again, and I'm just going to bet overs for players right now. So I was looking for players who I thought were going to be highly productive, who were going to get some opportunities and carries, and, well, I bet 5 overs today, or 6 overs today. So it may come back and burn me, but I'm betting overs until this thing stops because it's just stupid. All right, 3 quarterbacks to talk about here. Let's start with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow over 267.5 yards passing against the Ravens. So what's the most likely thing that happens in that game? The most likely thing that happens in this game is that the Ravens have a very big lead. That means garbage time passing. Garbage time passing is our best friend when it comes to how you get a quarterback over his passing numbers. Be down by 50, be down by 20, be down by 30, whatever it might be. Just be down by a big number. And the chances for them to be down by a big number are pretty likely. The Ravens most likely are going to curb stomp this team today. So I thought long and hard about the Bengals plus the points. I'm not going to lie here. I think there's a real possibility that Joey Backdoor is a thing and that Joe Burrow continues this. I think he's, 4-0 against the spread, right? He just covers. And when you give him big numbers, backdoor touchdowns, late scores. We've already been beaten once this year. If you're a Daily Juice listener, you know that. You got beat by this kid already once with a backdoor cover. It could happen again today. It's very possible that the Bengals get a backdoor cover. So because I expect the Ravens to be up big, and because I think the backdoor might be open, that means throwing the football. We're going over Joe Burrow, 267.5 yards passing numbers at minus 118 to where I got it. A little heavier juice, but not that big of a deal. I think Burrow throws the ball a ton today, and I think he picks up a lot of yards. In the same game, Lamar Jackson over 57.5 yards rushing. Okay? Over 57.5 yards rushing for Lamar Jackson. Here's my thought on Lamar. I know he was sick. I know the knee. But I think the Bengals are going to blitz. I think the Bengals are going to try to play really aggressive, try to get turnovers, try to stop the run. And when you try to stop the run, that means you get one pop play. You get one play where you stack the line, you put 7 in the box, 8 in the box, and then Jackson gets open and gets through, and then zoop, off to the races. I think he gets 60, 70 yards today. I really do. I think he hasn't had a big running day. He's my fantasy quarterback, if you will. He's on so I've been watching a lot of his stats. He hasn't been running very much. And so I think this is a game where Jackson's going to run. They need him to run. I'm not sold that. I think the league is caught up a little bit with the passing attack. They're taking away the tight ends. Brown's a good receiver, but okay, like how good? So I think we need to see more of Jackson running the football himself. And I think over 57.5 yards, couple, 2 big runs, he goes, and there we go. Another running quarterback, Kyler Murray against the Jets. So here's my philosophy with Kyler Murray at 44.5 yards rushing and why I think he'll finally, get going here. I expect Murray to have a big day, okay? I expect Murray to throw and run all over the Jets. And this is just one of those games where one of the best weapons that the Cardinals have right now is Kyler Murray running the football. He's the difference maker. And the Jets, look, defensively, they're okay. Offensively, they're a mess. But what if Joe Flacco plays well today? Like, what happens? Like, if he all of a sudden comes out and the team rallies and he plays, like a 5-year past, before. Lamar Jackson is officially active, by the way, so no worries there. So the inactive for the Ravens are out, and no big name Raven is out. They're all playing. All the guys who were questionable are playing. So there you go. So that's good. Le'Veon Bell is active, by the way. So if you're curious about the Jets game, Le'Veon Bell is active. So maybe they run Le'Veon Bell heavy, and maybe somebody asked me about that prop. Say Le'Veon Bell, 37.5 yards. Mario wants to know about that. I don't hate that. You know what? I don't hate that. So, yeah. What's my opinion for a Clyde Edwards-Helaire rushing and receiving total? If you're going to look for an over, I would think you want it to be somewhere over 85. I mean, I wouldn't go higher than like 90 for a total. If you're going to play the under, I haven't seen the numbers, so I'm making this up in my head. If the Clyde Edwards-Helaire receiving and rushing, I think he runs for like 70 yards today, somewhere in that range. So the receiving total at 26.5, he catches so like 100, I guess, would probably be a total that I would look to play the under on, somewhere in that range. If it's triple numbers, go to the under. If it's 88, 89, you might play the over for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. When you get to those big numbers, I get nervous at some of these really large, passing totals and rushing and receiving totals, because if the game gets away from you, if it's a blowout and they aren't using, like the Chiefs could be up monster, right? If the Chiefs are up by 25, 30 points on the Raiders, they aren't going to be using, their starters the same way. So I get a little concerned when you start talking about those numbers at that size. Oh, it's 105.5. Oh, man. Joe got it 106.5. Boy, that seems a little heavy to me. I would be, I don't know. I wouldn't go near that. I like the receiving total at 26.5. Okay, I like that. And he had 27 last week. Okay, yep, he had 27 last week. But I think they're going to use him. I think he'll be heavily involved. So back to Murray for a second. Kyler Murray over 44.5 yards rushing. I think Murray is going to be a big weapon in this whole offense today. I think he'll run, pick up first downs, run. If you find a rushing touchdown for Kyler Murray, I don't hate that either, but that's a plus money, and we're kind of hoping for that. Those are fun, but I'm looking for more consistency. I'm looking for more things that I can feel better about. Chris Hogan, by the way, is active for the Jets, so that's good for Flacco. You got another receiver to throw to. Julio Jones is inactive today. And we have not talked about that over yet, but we'll get to that here in a second. But inactive for Julio Jones, he is not out. The total is 54 for that game. And man, the action on that game has been fascinating. Panthers and Falcons. Who is betting which side? Fascinating to me, and because people are going back and forth on this. As you guys can see, I've taken the over 53 here. Total's up to 54, so we got a point of value there on Atlanta and the Panthers, but we'll get to that here in just 1 second, so hold on. And so finally, one last prop to tell you about here on the live stream. So Waller, we're going Waller. Let me get this centered. Waller over 58.5 receiving yards. Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 26.5 yards receiving yards. Joe Burrow over 267.5 passing yards. Lamar Jackson over 57.5 rushing yards. Kyler Murray, we're going over 44.5 yards rushing. And Jonathan Taylor that should be minus 110. My fingers are screwing this up. Jonathan Taylor over 65.5 yards rushing. So there's two games we've not talked about yet, and that is the Browns and the Colts. So here is what I think is going to happen. I think the Browns are going to put some points up here. This is a defense that is number one on paper for the Colts. Do I think the Colts are the best defense in football? No, I don't. Okay. Do I think they got a shot at slowing this Browns team down? Yes. Do I think Baker Mayfield makes mistakes today? Yes. I think the way that this team for the Colts, how they play well is they get a lead and they run the football and they lean on their defense. I have taken the Colts to win this game in two of the contests, in the DraftKings contest and in the let me double check on that. I think we took them in the DraftKings contest. I know we took them in the Circa. Let me double check our plays for what we finally settled on. for Dan Harris and I for our plays. And I believe we took that. But I know in the circuit I did take it. And I think the Colts win this game. So I think the way they win the game is by running the rock, playing defense. Okay? So that's how that's how I'm doing it. And I got Colts -1. The line has flipped. The Colts are catching 1 now. Don't mind that. But my circa plays are Panthers +2, Jags +6.5, Steelers -7, Colts -1, and Vikings +7. Remember, I am 8-10. My partner and I are 8-10 in the circa. Dan Harris and I are 11-9 in the circa. In the DraftKings contest, and we are. I gotta pull that up on Twitter. Hold on, let me pull that up to see where we are for Dan Harris and I. So our plays: Carolina +2.5 in the DraftKings, got an extra half a point there. Pittsburgh laying 7.5, or half a point less. Indy -1.5. Okay, we did take Indianapolis. Good with our DraftKings. So both circa and DraftKings, I'm taking the Colts. Minnesota +6.5. We have 7. I bet 7.5. And then San Fran -8.5 over the Miami Dolphins. That's a play on Jimmy Garoppolo coming back and playing really well. I think Garoppolo is going to come back and have a big, big day. So that is my. Do I like Lamar over 61.5 yards rushing? Wow, it's bet all the way up there already. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay. Probably under 65. I'm probably all right. I do think he runs the ball a lot. But again, I mean, these numbers matter, right? I mean, these numbers matter. Brian likes Jonathan Taylor over 12.5 yards receiving. Sure, 1 screen pass. That can get that done. Yeah, that can get that done. On Twitter, let's see, Hollywood4663, which I always worry when I see Twitter accounts like that. Somebody's asking, is the Kyler Murray rushing over under 44.5 yards rushing too good to be true? I mean, maybe. I mean, it could be. I mean, I bet it. So, I don't know. I mean, I hope it's. Those are always tough questions for me. Because if you're like, is it too good to be true? Well, I don't know. I bet it. So, I mean, I clearly think it's going to go over. So I don't know if I can say it's too good to be true, but I bet it. So if you want to trail it, okay, great. Let's sweat it together and let's see where we go. But I bet it for that reason. All right, so the Panthers and the Falcons, this is a wild game. So a lot of people that I've talked to like the Falcons today. And a lot of people are saying this is a Falcons team with their backs against the wall. They're going to play really hard. But I've got friends of mine who cover the Falcons. And I had one of them, a guy I know who works on my radio network, for 8 years, he was the sideline reporter for the Falcons, a guy named John Michaels. And he came on my show and he painted a pretty dire picture for this team, both offensively and defensively. He thought they might rally. He thought there's a chance they would rally, that they potentially would come around Dan Quinn. But he said that, look, watching the body language and watching the way the team played against the Packers, he was very concerned. He thought Julio Jones never should have played in that game, and he fought through the injury. He's inactive today. Ridley's out there, but he's also nicked up a little bit. They can't really run the football. But so many people think the Falcons are going to win this game at home that I didn't play it money. I played it with both the DK and the Circa contest picks because I do think it's going to happen, but I didn't like it enough to bet it. And that line is now Atlanta -2.5. Opened at 3.5, was bet down to 1 at one point this week, and now it's climbing back up. Circa is still at -1 right now. William Hill's at -2, South Point's at -2, DraftKings is at 2.5, Westgate's at 2. There's just a lot of money coming in on the Falcons. I mean, a lot of people like the Falcons, and I just Jasmine writes, Falcons are going to lose. I hope so, yeah. But if they're going to win by 1, because I've got it at +2 and +2.5 here for the Panthers. And I had a guy from Pro Football Focus on my show who said something 3 weeks ago, that I didn't agree with. He said that the offense for Joe Brady and this Panthers team with Teddy Bridgewater is better without Christian McCaffrey. The Christian McCaffrey paying him all that money was a mistake because Brady's going to get the football like he did with LSU. He's going to get the ball to everyone. He's going to go sideline to sideline. He's going to stretch out the defense, and he's going to find weaknesses, and Brady's going to attack every weakness that defense has. and he's an elite offensive mind, and the Panthers are going to be on offense much better than people think. I bet against the Panthers the last 2 weeks. Ask me how that went. 0-2. So that guy from Pro Football Focus, I got to give them a tip of the cap and say, great call. So now I'm trailing. Now, oftentimes when you do this, when you're betting against, and lose, and then bet with, how often does that happen to you guys? It happens to me all the time. You're not seeing a team right, so then by going ahead and backing that team, you get burned. That's why I didn't bet any money on it, okay? That's why I didn't bet any money on it. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't, if you guys like it, I don't hate it, because I took it in the DraftKings and in the Circa for the Panthers to win today over the banged up Falcons. Carolina, their win total, 6.5. I thought they'd be way under. Matt Rule, in his first year at Temple, his first year at Baylor, was atrocious. He burned it down and sucked on purpose, basically. I thought he'd do the same thing here with the Panthers, and no. So far, that has not happened. He has not done that. Okay. Fins or Niners? I am on the Niners. And the current line is 8, 7.5 at the South Point. If you can find a 7.5, I like that a lot. People are coming in. I think the public's coming in here on Miami to keep it close, saying, "Oh, that they're so banged up here." Mostert playing? Anybody know? Answer that question for me if Mostert's going to play. But I just think Garoppolo coming back is really big. They've already gotten Kittle back. West Coast trip for the Dolphins. I think at some point this all catches up to them. And here's the thing: the Tua conversation is loud right now in Miami. That can't be good for Fitzpatrick or anybody really with that offense, because everyone's saying, "Wait a minute, Herbert now is the starting quarterback for the rest of the year with the Chargers. Burrow has been the starter for since day number 1, and both those guys have played really well. Why can't our guy play?" Dolphin fans they know they're not going anywhere. They want to see what Tua is. They want to see, okay, guys, you took a quarterback in the top 5. Where is he? Why isn't he playing? Let's get him some conditioning, some seasoning. Let's play him. Even though I think the best thing would be to do the Patrick Mahomes and bury him for a year and then roll him out with a full training camp, roll him out with, you're our starter, no Fitzpatrick around, no worries about a veteran taking your job, and it's just Tua. But there is so much conversation in Miami right now about it that who knows, he may play today. I mean, if Fitzpatrick plays poorly, you might see Tua play today. So for that reason, I think San Francisco is going to have a real focused attention on stopping the pass, stopping Parker, and I think limiting this offense for Miami's throwing the ball really well this year. I just think Fitzpatrick's going to get hit a lot today. Okay, I think turnovers are going to be a factor in this game today. I like the 49ers a lot today to get a victory. Let's see. Hunt's receiving yards are 23.5. Well, he's going to get the majority of the carries, obviously, because Nick Chubb is out. So he's going to get the majority of the touches. Hunt was tremendous in the passing attack for the Kansas City Chiefs, but are they going to use him the same way? I don't know if Kevin Stefanski is going to use him the same way that KC used him. And if so, what happens with the linebacker matchup with the Colts today? Do the Colts key in on him, knowing that, look, they've got one real healthy running back, so we're going to go ahead and take Hunt out and make Baker Mayfield beat us? I could easily see that would be the play. I mean, that would make some sense to me if you're a Colts fan, to say we're going to stop, look for the defense to stop Hunt and say, Baker, go ahead and beat us. I mean, on the ground, I believe this is still correct, that the Colts are the number 1 rush defense in the NFL. I think they're giving up like 2.5 yards per carry right now. So maybe they get Hunt involved through the passing attack if you can't get going through the ground on the ground. But again, this is against a defense that we're going to find out a little bit about today, and that's why I would stay away from the props on the Browns. Because, I mean, if the Colts are as good as they are on paper today, I mean, the Browns might be in trouble. I think they are in trouble, but offensively, in terms of numbers, it may not go our way in terms of taking Hunt. So somebody said, really, Hunt is over 23.5. That's gold. Okay. I mean, I don't agree. I don't agree that's that's gold. All right, I'm just scrolling through the questions from everybody here on the live stream. Do you see the narrative the Cowboys wanting to beat the crap out of their old coach for the under? Well, I don't subscribe to that stuff per se. I don't care that Jason Garrett is the offensive coordinator in New York. Again, my question is not on the Dallas Cowboys. My question's not with Dallas. All right, Leonard's out for the Colts. That's not good. Yeah, all right. That's not good. But, again, I'm still on the Colts. Okay, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's a loss, but I don't know if it's that big of a deal to change the whole bet. But, when you – just back to the Cowboys. I just think that the Cowboys win the game. Do they want to run the score up to insult Jason Garrett? I would actually think it would be the opposite. I mean, remember, this family is family for the Cowboys. The Garretts, listen, go read what Jerry Jones said this week about Jason Garrett, the fact that it was the first time in like 50 years he has not written a weekly check to a Garrett. His dad, his uncle, Jason Garrett. I mean, this family means a lot to the Jerry Jones family, to the Joneses. So I don't think they would want to embarrass him. I don't think that narrative really makes a lot of sense. I think he's warmly seen still in that building, and I don't think they would want to run the score up and embarrass Jason Garrett. So no, I don't subscribe to that theory that the Cowboys are going to destroy the Giants today because they hate Jason Garrett. I would kind of go the opposite. I think they won't destroy them because of Jason Garrett. What about so Anthony says, as a Colts fan, I'm nervous about the Colts defense. Again, on paper, they're really good. And are they going to get tested today? Yeah. Do a lot of people like the Browns today? Yes. Did I stay away from it betting it because of that reason? Yes. Okay, yes. I've taken the Colts in my pick contests because I do think it's a good play, but you can kind of see a narrative there or see a trend there with me. Panthers, same thing, right? They're plays I like. They're kind of, I don't know if they're leans, but I don't like it enough to put money behind it. So I stayed away from the game. I only have 5 plays going today, which is a little bit light from what we've been in weeks past. But the reason is I hate this card, and we've got so many games who have been taken off the board, 3 of them today, that I just don't really like anything going on. So I'm concerned about the fact that we've got questions all over the league, the Patriots and the Broncos, the Titans and the Bills. I mean, it's just a mess right now. And more players are testing positive, and facilities, I mean, Titans, who knows when they're going to play again. Who knows when the Patriots are going to play again? Do they play with Cam and Steph Gilmore, or do they have to replace those 2 guys when they play again? There's just a lot of questions right now with 4, 5, 6 teams across the league about what their future is going to be. So I went a little light today comparatively, but I did go, I mean, now we're half a unit in with these props, so it's a little bit of a difference. Leonard being out makes a huge difference for me. Okay. I don't, that's okay. That's your own personal read. Again, one player, if you look at sports books, if you look at the way they evaluate, I mean, coaches and quarterbacks normally are worth like a point. Receivers can be worth a half a point, and then that's it. Books don't move numbers with one injury, just to let you guys know. They don't react in that way. And, quarterbacks are the most important piece, and they're worth a point and a half. Unless they're a Patrick Mahomes, then they're worth 3 or 4. That's a little bit of a difference. But Leonard's not a Mahomes. It's not that type of injury for the Colts. So if you want to stay off of it, I don't hate that as well. Like I said, I didn't bet it. I didn't. But Jonathan Taylor over 65.5 yards rushing, yes, I did bet that. Let's see. I think Bell over 2.5 receptions is easy. Am I wrong to think that? No, we haven't seen him. So you wonder, how healthy is he? So there's that question. But in terms of, what do I think of the Cardinals' defense? It's not good. We know that. I mean, they can get after the quarterback, but they've, at home, been okay. On the road, So, no, I don't hate that. I mean, Flacco is going to have to drop the ball off, and they just don't have a bunch of receivers. I mean, the weapons just aren't really there for the Jets. So, I don't hate that. Over 2.5? No, I don't hate that. Chargers versus the Saints spread was 50.5. I took the over. What would I take? Over. Yeah. I mean, that's one of those games to me. Yeah. I'm going I'm going over on most games. I did play the under for the Giants and the Cowboys, but that's the only under I liked, the only other total that I liked. Everything else, I think you play, if you want money on a total, bet the over on every game, literally. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Last week in the early games, it went 7-1. I think the week before it went 6-2. It's just ridiculous right now with these, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time kicks. It's just points everywhere. Yards everywhere. I mean, again, I have played 6 prop bets, and they're all overs. Didn't play any unders. Right now, it's an offensive explosion, and this is not a league that has defenses to talk about. I mean, the Colts are okay. The Bucs are okay. Yeah, the Thursday night game went under. Yep, that's true. But there's a couple of things that happened in that game that very well could have put it to the over. And it was approaching the over, quickly. And it stayed under. But, man, I think that's somewhat dangerous. All right, let me just a couple people are asking for me. They're saying the prop bets. Say what are the prop bets? Let me put this back up again so you guys can see. Okay, so here are the prop bets. We're going Darren Waller over 58.5 yards receiving. Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 26.5 yards receiving. Joe Burrow over 267.5 yards passing. Lamar Jackson over 57.5 yards rushing. Kyler Murray over 44.5 yards rushing, and Jonathan Taylor over 65.5 yards rushing are the prop bets for today. What do I think about the Dolphins? I bet against them, or I picked against them. I didn't bet against them, but I picked against them. I like 8.5, 8. I like the 49ers today. Jimmy Garoppolo coming back is the key there for me. Personally, I love Hunt over 74.5 yards rushing. Only reason the Colts defense looked good against the rush is because of teams they have played and the game script. With Leonard out, I'm more confident. Okay. I mean, again, you have one running back, and are the Colts for real defensively? I don't know. I'm going to agree with you. I don't know if they're the best defense in football. I would say no, actually. They're not the best defense in football. But here's the thing. This is why I like Jonathan Taylor with his rushing. The Colts want to get a lead, run the football, okay? When they're asking Phillip Rivers to chuck the ball all over the place, they're in trouble, period. So there has to be a game script, and we've talked about this a lot when it comes to betting, but when you have a game and you're handicapping the game, play the narrative out. What's the most likely thing that's going to happen? To me, the most likely thing that's going to happen, the Colts get the football, they run the ball, they get the lead, and they sit on it. That's what they want to do. Shorten the game, pound the rock, use that offensive line. Don't ask Phillip Rivers to do too much. So to me, I'm banking on the Colts being with the lead and running Jonathan Taylor. That's why I've taken the Colts to win in both the DraftKings and the Circa contest. Excuse me. But I didn't bet it because I do think the Browns are live there. And if you bet the Browns, you're running with a lot of people who I know who like the Browns. This is not a crazy pick to take Cleveland to win today. So from a prop bet perspective, if you want to play that out and you want to go to the other side and say, I want Kareem Hunt, I don't hate that. Nope, don't hate that. Kirk Cousins in prime time, under the lights on the road. I'll take Seattle all day on the money line. I don't hate that. No, not at all. I played it. My bet is 7.5. Okay, that's what I bet. We took 7. I'm telling you to bet 7 because I do think 7 is still good and you're going to push potentially out of it. So I don't mind that. Under 7, no. Okay, under 7, I wouldn't play it. Not for, and you're right, Seattle, primetime, I mean, yes. I tried to look at prop bets, like DK Metcalf, yards, DK Metcalf, touchdown. We already went down that road once and got burned, so I don't want to do it again. But Tyler Lockett, Russell Wilson, yeah, I mean, I hear you. I'm not arguing that point that take Seattle on the money line. Don't hate it, but you're going to pay, what's the juice on that? Let's see, can I pull that up? Let's see, yeah. The juice on the money line for Seattle tonight is now minus 300. Okay. I mean, sure. Minus 330. Sure. Go ahead. You can do that. I mean, yeah. That's expensive, though, right? Vikings win. That's a costly loss. Or you're going to lay, you really want to lay $100 at minus 300? No, you want to lay $300 to win 100. Like, that's just not really so. That's why I'm not doing that. I'll take the points. Vikings plus 7. Yeah, Philip says no thanks. I agree. No thanks. You want to parlay it with other games. Kurt. Welcome to the Daily Juice, my friend. You OG DJs know where I'm going to go with this, right? What do I think about parlays? Do not parlay. I know you guys have fun with it, and I know I just gave one out, okay, on Friday for fun. It was a 2-leg parlay for the hell of it because it was the Rays and the Heat. It was for fun. 0.25 units, okay? It was plus 750. It hit. Awesome. It was for fun. It wasn't for real. I wasn't laying 1 unit on it. It wasn't a real pick. It was because I was angry about the way things were going, and I didn't know how to bet the Heat and the Lakers, and I didn't know how to bet the Rays and the Yankees. So we parlayed Yankees and Lakers. That was going to be a plus, it was like plus 110, I think it was, right? Plus 120, somewhere in that range for Heat, for Lakers and the Yankees. I called that the Dark Side podcast, or parlay, because I hate those teams. I hate the Yankees and I hate the Lakers. So I said, fine, we'll do that. And then we went and bet the other side and said we're taking the Rays and the Heat and got plus 750 on that. And that the light side hit. Why? Because, well, the universe likes us. No one likes the Yankees and the Lakers. We don't like, no. So Yankees are bye-bye. Good guy. See you later. I have a Rays ticket at plus 1,000 for them to win the American League. I'm 4 wins away from that. Just get me to a Game 7, Houston, okay? Game 7, in that moment, I'm totally cool. I'll be hedging because I believe in hedging. I believe in money management. I believe in hedging. I believe in taking the sure thing. And I don't believe in parlaying. Not at all. Parlaying is how the books make all their money. Just FYI, okay? And why do the books publicize those tickets? Those $10 parlay tickets that hit 10,000. Why do they put those out? Why do they share that information? Why do you think that is? Always ask yourself, whenever you see information on the internet from a company that is involved in gaming, ask, why are they telling me this? Why are they telling me about the big bets? Why are they telling me about the big parlay hits? Why are they doing that? Because they want you to follow. Okay, they want you to do exactly what that person did. Why? They make money doing that. That's why. All the information we get, and I do the book report every single Wednesday. You'll see it drop on bettingpros.com. I recap all the big bets, all the information coming out of the books, okay? Everything I'm sent from the sports books. They're giving me that information. Why would FanDuel give me that betting information? Why would DraftKings, why would BetMGM, why would all these companies give me that information? They give me that information because they want you to know. They want you to know. And they want you to follow because it benefits them financially. This is a game, boys and girls, right? 53% us versus the book. That's what the podcast is, the Daily Juice community, what we're building, what we're trying to do every day. If you don't listen to the Daily Juice, you're just watching these live streams, listen to the Daily Juice. Go find it. You'll understand a lot of these different things I'm talking about every day. Every morning, the podcast drops. It's 15 minutes. It's right there on your Apple Podcasts or your Stitcher or wherever, Spotify. It's on like 10 different platforms. You guys go ahead, listen to it, subscribe, tell your buddies, tell your friends. We do this every week on a live stream for the player props, which I'll recap here in just 1 second. But, this is, I preach flat wagering, no parlaying. I do tease in the NFL every week, one a week I'll grab. I do believe in teasing the NFL. I think it works. I think moving the lines in the NFL is the only time you actually can even it up a bit with how much of an edge they've got on us. So let's move the lines around. So I like doing that. But that's what I preach, slow and steady. No home runs, no guarantee this, no 75-0, no I'll make you rich, no, none of that, right? We're having fun. It's entertainment. We're enjoying ourselves, and we're hanging out and sweating games together. That's what we do. #Daily Juice. Okay. Kurt said, thanks. I only found you from the Betting Pros NFL podcast with Dan Harris, so I haven't been listening to the Daily Juice, but I will now. Thank you. Good. Listen to it. It's a lot of fun. We enjoy it a lot. Bryson says we hit a plus 800 on the Rays and Heat parlay. Yeah, we did. Let's see. Week 2, I hit Fournette, 2 touchdowns at 22-1. Okay. Special teaser is KC, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore. I mean, I don't know. Again, teasing more every time. Before we close, let me just say this real quick. Remember that every time you add a leg to a parlay or a teaser, I don't like parlays. But every time you add a leg, the reason why the odds move and go up and you see that plus money and your $10 turns into 1,000 and plus, it's because it's just mathematically more difficult. You're having to clear a more crazy number, a bigger type of percentage is working against you when you do that. So I don't like 3-leg teasers. I don't like 3-leg parlays. I don't like 4-leg parlays. I don't even like parlays at 2 legs, but a 2-leg parlay is a lot easier. A 2-leg money line parlay is not bad, but you're not going to have your bankroll around for a long time if every week you guys are firing on 4-leg money line parlays. They love you. The books love you. You are the reason they're in business. It's because you're putting your $20 down every week on a 4 or 5-leg parlay. Don't do it. Don't do it. Bet $5 on 4 games. Okay? Bet $5 on 4 games and slowly build your bankroll up. And then you can absorb the day when you go 0-4. Right? Again, Daily Juice audience, you guys know this, but your bankroll is 5% of whatever your 1 unit is 5% of whatever your bankroll is. $100, it's $5, okay? So you're dedicating $100 to your gambling. It's $5 a game, $5 a play, and only bet 1 unit on a play you like. Trail me? Sure. Bet a half a unit? Great. You probably can't bet $250. Most books don't take $250. You got to bet $5, but you know what I mean, right? So it's about the long term. We are in this for the long term. We're in this for the marathon. We're not in this for the short term. This is long-term stuff, right? So we're just trying to get ourselves over the 53% that the books have because we pay $110 to their 100 every bet, basically, right? We're just at a disadvantage right out of the gate. We're at a disadvantage. So we're trying to find ways to even it up. We're trying to find ways to be successful. So, okay. Is it reckless to bet $4 every week on an 8-team teaser? Is it reckless? No. Is it stupid? Yes. But it's your money, so I'm not telling you what to do, but I wouldn't say it's reckless because that's not going to get you in trouble. $4 is not going to get you in trouble. If it was $400, different story. But $4, no. I don't think it's reckless to do that. I just don't think you're going to hit very often. All right. So as we look to wrap here we go. We're going with our props. Here are our props. Waller, over receiving yards. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, over receiving yards. Burrow, over passing yards. Lamar Jackson, over rushing yards. Murray, over rushing yards. And Jonathan Taylor, over rushing yards. Those are our 6 plays for our props. We're taking Vikings plus 7. Steelers, -7. Under, Giants and the Cowboys. Over, Panthers, Falcons. I think points are going to get scored a lot. We didn't really talk about that, but Panthers, Falcons, and then teasing the Jags to +11.5 against the Texans, and we are teasing the Steelers down to -1. We are 4-0 on those 2-leg teasers so far here on the Daily Juice live stream and the Daily Juice podcast. Hopefully we get to a 5-0 today coming up. All right. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me on Twitter at SportsTalkMatt. We're back tomorrow morning for a Monday. We'll get to some baseball probably, but a lot of Monday Night Football. We'll have a couple of props to give you for Monday Night Football tomorrow morning as well. We're not going to play. I don't think we're playing Tuesday, guys. I don't think that's happening, but it doesn't look like it for Bills-Titans. So moving pieces. Let's be happy we're playing football at all, right? Let's just be happy that we got football to bet on today. Good luck in all your plays. I'm sweating the games with you guys at Sports Talk Matt on Twitter. I will talk to you next week here on the Betting Pros YouTube channel. Oh, wait, hold on, real quick. Let me see. I don't know if Dan Harris gave me his player props. No, he did not. Okay, so Dan Harris did not send me any player props, so sorry about that. So I don't have Dan Harris's player props. Next week, more props from Dan Harris. Dan Harris and I on the Betting Pros NFL podcast every single week, which drops on Thursday. Daily Juice every morning on where you get your podcasts. I will talk to you tomorrow morning. I'm Matt Perrault. Best of luck, everybody, at Sports Talk Matt. I'll talk to you on Twitter.